Hi, it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec. Welcome to video 7 in my monthly series, Stampin' Up Scrapbooking. Today, I will create a double-page layout featuring products from Stampin' Up's January 2025 release. I will be playing with the Friends of the Ocean collection and pairing it with the Country Woods Paper Pack, another Stampin' Up product. Everything I use will be listed below, along with my link to Stampin' Up. If you live in Canada and use the link, I will get a commission. If you have a local demonstrator, please support him or her. But if you don't and something interests you, thank you very, very much. So let's get started and see what's on my table. You are going to see I did do a bit of preparation in advance. I have 5 photos here. The photos that I place on the left-hand side, those are double matted in white cardstock and wood grain paper. And the 3 photos for the right page are all single matted in white cardstock. You're going to see one of them. I'm opening it up right now. I created a little photo flip. I plan to add 2 extra photos on the inside. That's simply a photo mat twice as long, folded in half, and there is a tutorial on my channel where I explain how to do that. So that will be listed and linked below. Now my foundation page looks a bit weird with that gray and white checkered paper. That's going to be completely covered up. I rounded the outer corners on the white cardstock with a Creative Memories corner rounder. I showed you the back of that frame style foundation page. I did got 2 of the 3 papers, and on the right I created half a frame style foundation page. Now what I want to do is show you the pattern papers that I've selected. So I have that wood grain paper, which is from the Stampin' Up Country Woods collection. In addition to that, this is the Friends of the Ocean paper pack. So I have that one with crabs and lobsters that I will be die cutting. I have this orange one along with that ombre paper. That ombre paper is already in the frame style foundation. This is what I have left after cutting it and gutting it. So I will be using that on top of my foundation page as well. I do have a handful of scraps. And I have a 10-inch doily there. That was actually from Mercy Tiara Kit's February release called Fabulous. There were 2 giant doilies. I've already used one, and I'm going to use the second one on this layout. Here is the stamp set Ocean Friends. It's a 2-step stamp set. So you can see for the crab and the lobster, there's 2 stamps for 1 image. I also have the dies. I've already packaged them up in my stamp box. They come in 2 different packages, but I like to put them together. I have another die set as well. These are the mini alphabet dies. I'll be using those as well. I have these little dots, which is part of the Friends of the Ocean collection. I'm showing you the rest of that paper pack just to give you an idea of the color palette. I'm going to be focusing on the pinks and the oranges, but there is some aqua and green in there. Stampin' Up calls it Summer Splash and Lemon Lime Twist. I actually dig into those colors when I embellish. I'm also showing you the Country Woods paper pack. There's probably a few of them there. I use them all the time. That's where I got that dark wood grain paper. I also pulled out the 6x6 fruit salad paper pack. That's actually one of those free gifts from the Sale-A-Bration event from Stampin' Up in January and February. Some of the B-sides of that paper worked really well with this collection, so I pulled those in as well. What I want to do right now is prepare my foundation page. So I am cutting up some paper here, and I will put measurements on the screen a little bit later on when I place these parts on top of the page. It's just going to make more sense then. Keep in mind that all measurements are for visible paper only, and sometimes I overlap. So those pieces I cut a bit larger. So take note when I place them on the page, you will see where I am overlapping. Now what I want to do is place all of this on the foundation page to give you an idea where I'm going with this. You can see the wide border is over on the right. The narrow border is on the left. I've placed the doilies. Now I'm coming in with the shelf, and I am tucking the doily and the shelf underneath the border there. So that's what it looks like at this point, and I will be placing my photos just to give you an idea how I plan to move forward with this. So the two photos of food are going to be on the left-hand page, and the border of photos is on the right-hand page. Now what I want to do is add a bit of ink to all of these page parts. So the ink I'm using is Morning Mist by VersaFine Claire. I'm not going to make you watch all of it, but I did it to all of the pattern papers. And now what I want to do is add a bit of ink on top of that white cardstock. So the ink I pulled out is Pumpkin Pie, which is that same color orange that you see in the shelf on my page. And now I'm just lightly drawing in pencil around that doily there. That just gives me a guide where to ink, and I'm starting in the middle and kind of moving out. And I'm doing that because I want to avoid making blobs, or if I make a blob like I do on this left-hand page, at least it will be covered up with the doily. So now you can see I've got my inking done, and I'm placing my doily on top, and it just adds a nice bit of color coming out from behind there. So I adhered my doily down. I did that by putting the adhesive directly on the white, then the doily, because the doily is really, really fragile. Then I put the border down, and now I'm putting the shelf. Now I'm placing the photos, and then I will move on the right-hand side. Same thing, starting with the doily, then the border, then I'm coming in with the shelf. Now you're going to notice when I adhere the shelf, I am lifting up that wood grain paper that I already adhered and tucking my shelf underneath. I can do that because of the adhesive I use, that red adhesive that you see there. It's Easy Runner Permanent Strips by Scrapbook Adhesives. It is a permanent adhesive, but it gives me a bit of wiggle room before it becomes permanent, and I like using it because I constantly move things around and I don't want to rip my papers. But it is permanent, I just have a bit of wiggle room. It's also worth mentioning that when I adhere my stuff to the page, I don't press down really hard right off the bat. I wait until I'm happy with the placement. You may have noticed for the photo on the top, I put a different adhesive there. I used score tape. It's just more heavy duty, and that is the little photo flip book. So I wanted a more heavy duty adhesive to do that. So now everything is adhered, and now what I want to do is a bit of die cutting. So already I've die cut those crabs and lobsters from that pattern paper, but I want to do one for the purpose of demonstration. Obviously, you can stamp out the images and die cut them, but you can also die cut the paper, which I find really fun. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm getting out my dies, but I'm just showing you that the crab and the lobster fit perfectly on that pattern paper that I'm holding right now. What I'm going to do is put the crab on the plate here. I'm going to cut out a crab for you. And basically, you put the die on top of it. What I do is I make sure that the legs are all positioned perfectly because I can see through the holes in the die. And if that's positioned over the legs, then I know it's going to cut out properly. I don't want it to move, so I'm using some of that mint tape from the scrapbook.com to put on top of it, and now I'm running it through. This is my mini die cutting machine, by the way. It's basically a tiny version of what I usually use on this channel. This is the one I bring to crops with friends, but all the dies I'm using here today are small, so it works fine for this small little machine. Now that my crab is all cut out, what I want to do is create a plate and a placemat because this is an ocean themed foodie layout. So I want to give it a bit of a foodie twist. I went to look for some oval nesting dies. The dies I'm using are stitched shapes. This is an older die set from Stampin' Up, and basically it's nesting shapes with stitched embossed edges. I have two ovals here. I'm running it through the machine, and my plan is to layer one on top of the other, and what I hope will create a plate. I wanted an oval because my lobster is long, so I thought it would look better on an oval plate. So in addition to that, now I want a placemat. Now obviously I can cut myself out a rectangle, that's all it needs, but I have a die that I want to use. So again, another older die set from Stampin' Up called Stitched So Sweetly. So I have this rectangle, but it's got a really cute scalloped edge, and there's also stitched embossing around the edge as well. So the paper I'm using is this white paper with little coral dots, and it was part of that fruit salad free paper pack that I showed you at the beginning of this video. So I cut it out with that die and it makes a really cute little placemat. So now I have my lobster, the plate, and a placemat. So I'm really happy with that. Now what I want to do is create some adhesive alphas. So I'm getting out this mini alpha die set, again, another current product from Stampin' Up, and I'm cutting myself out a piece of paper, the very same dies. All the alphas are on one sheet, and some of the alphas have more letters than others, like A's, I's, and stuff like that. I have these Be Creative tape sheets. It's basically an adhesive sheet, and I'm cutting it out the same size as my paper that fits my die. What I'm going to do is peel off one of the pieces of paper and basically back my paper with the adhesive. So now I have adhesive backed paper. I run this through my little die cutting machine, and what I will have is an alpha set that is adhesive. So that's fantastic. I do end up poking some of these out with a little pokey stick here, and off camera, I actually cut myself out a second one of these because I have quite a few words I want to spell out. And I must say, when I cut it out the second time, I flipped the paper so that the pink was at the top with the A's instead of the orange at the top with the A's. So you're going to see I clean all this up. I come back and I want to show you all of my embellishments. So here is my title. It is Oceanside Dining at Ivan's. So you can see I have my adhesive backed alphas on wax paper. The extra alphas, because I had quite a few left, I put them in this envelope, and I am simply going to store this with my Friends of the Ocean paper pack because it's all in the same colors, and I can use those on another layout. Now what I want to do is show you the other stuff. So I did my journaling on the computer, printed it out in a circle, and you can see I created a mat for it in pink paper. And that pink paper is the pink part of that ombre paper that is already on my page. Here are some other embellishments you're going to see for my crabs. Of course, I have my plate, my placemat, and my lobster there, and I do have some more lobsters and crabs. I also cut out some in just plain white cardstock in case I want to back some of them so that I can pop them up with foam adhesive. I have some aquatic plants here. I cut them out in that lemon lime twist along with that summer splash. That's that aqua color there. And basically the aqua color one, I cut it out from that same 6x6 paper pad I showed you earlier. I'm showing you the die. It's part of that Ocean Friends die set. If you look at those plants really, really closely, there's little dots in it. It's extremely detailed and they are very, very cute. In addition to that, I have those little dots, which is part of this Friends of the Ocean collection as well. I have some adhesive back sequins as well that I'm thinking I may use. I don't end up using either one of those in the end. I have underneath here some silverware. This is really cool. Basically, I have a baggie of them in my stash. Those I create with scraps of silver paper, and I have 2 die sets that I can use for that. This one here is from Spellbinders, and the other one is an older one from Stampin' Up called Cups and Kettle. There's all kinds of stuff in there, including cutlery. I really like doing foodie layouts, so I always jump on dies when I see that they have to do with eating for whatever reason. I also have some chipboard wordy bits. That's actually from 49 and Market from the, I think it's a Sunburst collection. The colors went really well with it. I just showed you that pink circle again. I just wanted to show you that I cut that out with a nested circle die set from Stampin' Up called Spotlight on Nature. I use it a lot. They're nesting circle dies, but the edges have an embossed edging around them. So you saw everything I have to play with right now. Now I'm going to start creating my embellishment clusters. I am going to start by adhering my journaling on top of that pink circle. You can see I didn't quite cut out a pink circle. I know it's going to be tucked underneath that wood grain border. Now what I'm doing is adhering my plate together, and I'm going to adhere my lobster on top of that. I decide to back my lobster with a little bit of cardstock there to make them a little bit more substantial. I adhere my lobster on top of the plate, but I don't quite adhere the plate to the placemat at this point. Now I'm coming in with my little aquatic plants there. So I put a green one up towards the top behind the journaling, another few behind my placemat. I'm playing around a bit with the title there. You're going to see me play quite a bit with the title actually. Now I'm coming in with the cutlery. It's here that I'm realizing I don't have quite enough space on my placemat. So I know when I go to adhere that later on, I end up popping my plate up with foam adhesive. I have moved over to the left-hand side. So I played around a bit with the aquatic plants, the lobster, and the crab. I'm playing with the title. I really do not know where to place it. You can see I'm putting some of it at the top, other times I'm putting at the bottom. In the end, I know I like where At Ivans is on the right, but I'm not quite sure what to do with it on the left. I decide to tuck a few more crabs, or a crab and a lobster, I should say, just above the journaling box. And I like that because I feel like I have my crustaceans in 3 spots on the page, forming a visual triangle. Now I'm moving ahead to adhere. So I start over there on the right with the crab and the lobster towards the top, then the plant. This part I'm having a little bit of trouble because everything is getting caught up in that doily. Once I get through this part, then everything else goes quite smoothly. Now I'm adhering my journaling, and then I have to come back in and tuck my crab and my lobster that keep getting caught up in my doily there. Once that's done, then what I'm going to do is adhere my placemat down. And when I go to adhere my plate, I do pop it up on foam adhesive, as I mentioned earlier. When I was placing everything there, I realized I didn't have enough room on my placemat for my plate and my cutlery. So I figured by popping it up on foam adhesive, I could tuck that cutlery just slightly under my plate. So that's what I end up doing. Now I'm going to come in and adhere my title. So I already know that I like where At Ivans is, just above that shelf there. So that's what I'm doing, starting at the bottom right on top of the shelf, and then I will place At on top of it. And then what I do is come in with my aquatic plants. And I did my title before the plants because I just didn't want to cover up my alphas. Once that's done, then I'm coming in with my cutlery, and I'm really happy with that. And then I think what I do is just move right over to the left-hand page. Now, when I go to adhere on the left-hand page, I'm thinking maybe I want to repeat the paper, that white with the little coral polka dot, over on the left-hand page. It's already in the placemat on the right. You saw I cut myself a little strip there. I added a bit of ink, but I didn't adhere it at this point. I'm just kind of additioning it. Right now, you can see I backed that crab with a little bit of cardstock because I plan to pop him up with foam adhesive. I decide that little strip of that white paper with the coral polka dots really didn't do anything, so I removed it. Now I'm coming in with those aquatic plants. I come in with the lobster, and then I pop up the crab on foam adhesive. I decide in the end that the title on the left-hand page, I'm going to kind of put it more towards the top. So I started adhering it. I started at the bottom with dining and moved my way up, and I continued that off camera. And now you can see me adding a few little green starfish up by the title. I cut those out with the same die set from that Ocean Friends bundle. I felt like that title area needed something, and I find even though those starfish are really tiny, adding that green there just added a little bit more weight and importance to the title area. Now what I want to do is add a tab to that photo flip book that is on the right-hand page. So I'm getting out this bundle. It's called Keeping Tabs. It is a current product from Stampin' Up. It is a stamp set along with a coordinating punch. So there's different stamps to stamp out different images for a tab. I selected one with some diagonal lines, and I stamped it out in the color ink. I used that lemon lime twist. So I punched it out. I'm putting it up there on the book. I kind of like that. The stamp set does have words, and one of them is even menu, which is really cool. But I also have those chipboard words from 49 and Market, and there's delish in that perfect orange. So that's what I end up going with. I decide to just adhere that tab there, and you're going to see me come in with a little bit of liquid glue to add that little wordy bit on top of it. Now I do have those little dots that are part of this Friends of the Ocean collection, so I'm having a look at that. In the end, I don't end up adding them, and this is my finished layout. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, Scrapbooking Quebec, I would be thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very, very much. Have a great day, and I will see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.